Hey everybody, welcome. I'm here with Dr. Mark Mayfield, a fellow therapist, an author, and the founder of Mayfield Counseling Centers. Today we're going to be talking about his newest book, The Path Out of Loneliness.
This is your Monday Minute.
So this is your second book. And I just wanted to start this conversation on why did you choose to write this book on this topic?
Well, great question. I think large in part, I think we have mishandled mental health in our society for too long, both in the secular places and in the faith places. And I wanted to write this book as a conversation around how to do it better. And I think we do a lot of times we silo our mind, body, and spirit. And we focus on our body and we're good, but our emotions are all out of whack. And we focus on our emotions and our spirituality is all out of whack. And I wanted to go, we can't disconnect those things. Yeah. And how do we integrate them in a way that is honoring to the whole person, but also walks us through kind of the conundrum around loneliness. I think we've not really put a name to it until recently. I actually signed the contract for this book a month before COVID hit.
Wow.
Right. So I think just the providence of this message needing to get out. And so it's just a different way of talking about mental, emotional, and physical and spiritual health.
It's like, talk about perfect timing.
You're right.
Loneliness, isolation, being kept away from people that we know and love. And then COVID hits. And we were forced into just this isolating environment where we weren't allowed to go and spend life the way we were used to.
Right.
Be around the people that we are normally used to being around.
Like it's shared trauma response, really. I mean, I think for the first time in our generations, we have a shared trauma response that I think has really produced fear. And I think fear produces an inability to connect, which then produces loneliness. And, I think all of us can pinpoint a time where we felt lonely moments, but I think loneliness becomes a pervasive pattern in people's lives. And so this book talks about, the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual aspects of loneliness, but then it talks about practical tools on how do we reconnect? How do we engage? How do we spend time rebuilding those things in our lives? And how do we do that for others as well?
So in my therapeutic experience, I see how people can feel isolated and lonely despite being surrounded by a crowd of people.
I think that's because I think if you were to survey a bunch of people and you were just to use the term lonely, most of the people would say, well, I'm not. I've got friends. I got people that are around me. And I think it's going beyond the surface and going to the depths. Do people really see you? The old adage of, hey, how you doing? Fine. And you move on.
Right.
And we don't spend time to study people's eyes, their body language, their posture, and that kind of stuff. And nobody sees us. Right. And you can say, fine. How many people how many times have you said, I'm fine, and you're crying out inside like, no, I'm not. Somebody's seen me, somebody's pay attention, sit with me. And I think that's where we want to recraft language around loneliness to be not a bad thing, but a state of being in place that we can move from, almost a diagnosis in some ways, right? Diagnose ourselves with loneliness. Okay, now what do we do? And that's why I wrote this book. And I really encourage everybody to get it because it provides these practical steps of how do we walk ourselves out of it, and then how do we walk others out of it as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good because too often we get trapped in this season of loneliness. We don't know how to get out of it. We don't know what steps or tools we can use to start engaging and connecting with different people and actually being seen by these other people. And so I guess that is really why we want people to look into getting this book, ordering it off of Amazon, and using the information from the book, the tools that are explained to help you engage in community again and actually create lasting, deep connections with individuals. And with all the topics that we are talking about this season on Monday Minute, whether it's about our emotional expression or different types of relationships, a lot of that can start from the information from this book, and it will help give us a better understanding and better foundation to all the other topics that we'll be discussing in Monday Minute this season. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week for our next Monday Minute.